Governor Newsom's actions are costing the taxpayers a lot of money, but more importantly, they're costing Americans' lives. The question, and I'm asking this to everybody, maybe you have an answer, Will, is why? Like, why is he tolerating this? Who benefits? I went and visited a Russian community where by the way, the leader of the mafia, who was responsible for a lot of the hospice fraud, fled the country when the DOJ came after him, went back to Russia. But we've got a Russian community involved, but other groups as well. It's become endemic because of the hospice fraud being tolerated. Now it's spread to home health care. When there was an effort to try to slow this down, those fraudsters went over to Nevada. I went to Nevada. Vegas has got the same problem. It's a copycat, just a small JV version of California. It spread to New Mexico, to Arizona. It spread to Texas. So if we don't stomp this out, these bad guys realize they can make money off Medicaid and Medicare. Foreign countries are involved, and foreign nationals are engaged in this process because they don't care about our country. We're not going to tolerate that. The president is livid about this. He's appropriately going after all these states where we seem to tolerate some of these fraudulent activities, and some of it is just directly against the national interest. Like the tolerance for illegal immigrants getting full health benefits, including vision and dental, things you don't get on Medicare even. You know, we don't give that to Medicaid patients in other parts of the country. But in California, if you're here illegally, you get it all. And we've actually gone after California and collected back $1.6 billion. Not all of it back yet. We're going to get it all, but we've got probably half that money already back in the federal coffers. So California's admitting that they were doing this wrong.
Well, I want to try to answer your question, and I have several follow-ups from what you just said, but I want to explain to the audience, and I'm sure you know, and I want to let you address what Governor Gavin Newsom is saying. The reason I jokingly said that you're looking into fraud and that makes you a racist is that the claim is you are looking into a tie in your investigation allegations between the Russian Armenian mafia, Armenian community in certain areas of Los Angeles, Medicare, Medicaid fraud, and you are of Turkish descent. So what Newsom is tying into there is historical ties and problems between Turkey and Armenia, Turkish citizens and Armenian citizens. And he is insinuating that has bled over into America, into your investigation into fraud.
You know, he can make those accusations, and I hope the audience probably feels the same way that I do, which is, fine, make whatever allegations you desire. Just do your job. You know, go in there, deal with the fraud, protect the vulnerable. You know, I'm sitting here in Washington in the Humphreys building. Hubert Humphrey has a beautiful quote at the entranceway. It says it's the moral obligation of government, including the California leadership, to take care of those at the dawn of their life, children. 53% of kids are covered by Medicaid and CHIP programs I administer. You have to take care of people at the twilight of their life, you know, older folks, especially if they're having disabilities. And you got to take care of people who are living in the shadows, folks with substance use disorder, you know, lots of conditions that we're going to cost money for communities. But we're a great nation. We're going to take care of our most vulnerable. When you tolerate widespread, systemic, organized fraud, you're causing a problem. And these allegations are not me just, you know, making up the numbers. I actually am looking at the numbers. It's my job to pay the bills. We think there's probably $3.5 billion of fraud just in Los Angeles. Forget about California, just in LA around hospice and home health care. We believe that there are people being hurt. I've gotten whistleblower notices, but what they're really saying when I met with the community leaders in LA is, why is no one listening to us? We're crying for help. Right. In fairness, people in other states, like home health care providers, saying they're getting squeezed on because there's so much fraud in LA that there's not enough money to go around. 9%, Will, 9% of all the money we spend in America on home health care is spent in Los Angeles. That's 5 times more than you would expect. And that means there's less money for home health care in other states. And you've got taxpayers in New Mexico, which is, again, a blue state. Right? Taxpayers in New Mexico, but a state that's not that affluent compared to California, are paying taxes, federal taxes, that go to support fraud in Los Angeles. It's just morally wrong. It's reprehensible. And the fact that the governor won't deal with the problem and instead accuses me, which is just wasting everyone's time. Fix the problem, help your people.